We are one of the richest nations in this world, but yet we have some of the poorest outcomes when it comes to our health care. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, 45,000 American deaths annually are linked to simply just not having enough health care or access to it. Now, this is unacceptable in a country where we have some of the wealthiest people in the world living. Universal health care for all is the best thing for this country and for everybody in the world for that matter. I'm going to go ahead and discuss with you in the following presentation why I feel that too many people struggle for health care, why we pay too much for health care, why and how we can make a change to make health care work for us instead of us working for health care. Now, there's a few things I like to point out to you why I feel this way, and we'll go ahead and begin with that. Now, according to a study conducted at the Harvard Medical School and Cambridge Health Alliance, they found that uninsured working age Americans have a 40% higher risk of death than their privately insured counterparts, up from 25% excess death rate that was found in 1993. So, in other words, we have working age Americans who do not have adequate access to health care. They have a 40% higher risk of death than the privately insured counterpart. And meaning that basically there is a huge income equality gap that's taking place here. So if you have money, you get health care. If you don't have money, you don't have any health care. Now, just to support what I just mentioned, according to Steffi Woolhander, a widening economic inequality in the United States has been accompanied by increasing disparities in health outcomes. The life expectancy of the wealthiest American now exceeds that of the poorest of 10 to 15 years. Can you imagine that? How much is 10 to 15 years worth of your life? How much is that worth in a dollar sign? And this is the problem. Too many people in this country who work very hard are still struggling just to get adequate and efficient health care, and so there's definitely a huge need for healthcare reform. And while we're trying to reform healthcare, we might as well go ahead and make it universal for everyone. Now, if some say, oh, well, there's no need for reform of healthcare, it works just fine. Well, let me submit this to you. According to Eric Schneider, the United States spends far more on healthcare than other high income countries, with spending levels that rose continuously over the past 3 decades, yet the U.S. population still has the poorest health than other countries. Now, you can't tell me that that's acceptable in any level. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, if you're spending too much, yet you still have the poorest health of the country, then you're just wasting your money. Now, according to Irene Papanikolaou, the U.S. has lower rates of insurance coverage, while health care in the United States has risen to 90% since the enactment of the Affordable Care Act. Every other high-income country has achieved coverage for at least 99% of its population. Now, you can say, you can argue the pros and cons of the Affordable Care Act or any other position for that matter, but the fact of the matter is we spend more on health care than everybody else does. Plus, we have some of the worst health among high-income countries, and then that's just ridiculous. Now, some that oppose this would say that, access to comprehensive health care is not a human issue, or it's too expensive, or there's long waiting lines for serious injuries, and there's just too much research out there that will fly in the face of those arguments. So we need to start getting real about the healthcare in this country. And the way that we can do that is by number one, calling your congressmen and put pressure on your politicians who actually have the power to make policy, to make changes. And secondly, make sure that your congressman or local politician is putting you first, putting the people first. They work for us. We pay their salary, and we should receive fair and proper treatment in return. And finally, I submit to you, get out there and vote. That is going to be the main thing that will make change for the better for this country, for its people as well. Get out there and vote and make sure that your vote counts. Thank you.